Hey guys, happy holidays. Joseline'S Cabaret, Texas, episode 16. And if you're watching this on TikTok, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube because TikTok will be going January 19th. I don't think this review is going to be too long because not that much happened in this episode, but let's get into it. So we see the Bronx Bandits hanging together, Hennessy and Danny. Danny's still talking about how the cabaret is a Cinderella story for her, and she just feel like she's going from Danny from the Bronx to Imani Brown from the suburbs. You're literally eating cat on stage, babe. I don't understand. I do low-key feel like Joseline was right about Hennessy because she said in her confessional that she's basically aligning with the OGs because they know best. They know what Joseline likes already and what she doesn't. So she's not necessarily aligning with them because she actually likes them. It's a business move. Then as far as the yacht party, Danny was just saying how she felt like a lot of the girls were very sloppy and that even if they're partying, as long as she's here with Joseline, she feels like she's always on the clock until she goes home. So she still feels like some of the girls are being unprofessional, and we already know she's mainly talking about Neek. But like I said, Danny, stop worrying about Neek and literally get off her DICK at this point. Because Joseline literally said, this is a yacht party for y'all to relax yourself, to party, to get drunk, to release y'all stress, and to not worry about the shows because we finished the shows for now, and they didn't have no rehearsals or nothing the next day. So really, if she wanted to get sloppy drunk that day, so what? Like, why do it really concern you? It's not affecting the dancing and the performances because there's none left. And Danny was like, Andraya and Neek got chosen for Playboy Mexico to go with Joseline. And Hennessy was like, yeah, how do you feel about that since Neek is always under the influence? You know how Danny feel about it. She wish she was going with her bestie Andraya, but she's not. So she could get over it. So then Neek and Oceans come walking up and sit down with them. So Danny told Neek she was doing too much last night and she should be ashamed of herself. Neek said, honestly, I don't even remember what happened last night. I'm a party girl, so what? Danny said that's a problem. It's about the professionalism. Now, I don't agree with Danny right now about the whole professionalism thing because, like I said, they was meant to be partying and having fun. But I do think that is bad if Neek is constantly getting drunk to the point that she don't remember what happened the next day. That means you going past your limit. And you probably not giving yourself enough time to recuperate after a hangover. So Danny wanted a moment. She starts pointing at Neek. You're going home. You want to be like them other bees from Baltimore. Danny and Joseline and them are so mad because Tasiki was about to handle them at Bad vs. Wild. Even Hennessy knew that Danny was wrong. In her confessional, you could tell. She was like, I guess I see where Danny's coming from. Like, no, you don't. You know Danny's wrong, but that's your friend. So you don't really want to say nothing. And Oceans was like, I would have understood where she was coming from because, yeah, I get the situation with Neek's drinking, but she wasn't coming from a place of concern. She was coming from a place of being messy, which I also agree with. Then Danny tried to tell Neek that she was giving Wet Wet. Neek could never give Wet Wet because Wet Wet could never dance. Joseline and the girls always said that. Wet Wet is good for TV, but she can't dance. Neek is not in that boat. Neek could dance and she's good for TV, and that's why you're scared. Because we don't like you for TV, even though we acknowledge that you could dance, Danny. We don't want to see you. Neek is the best of both worlds. She could actually dance, but she's also somebody that we want to see on the TV as a reality star. You're mad about it. Then you're talking about when does the poverty end? You're from the poorest borough. Do you still live in the Bronx? Like, talking about somebody being in poverty? And she tried to tell Neek how she only had 2 looks all season. And Neek said, I've had multiple looks this season. And one thing about it, all my looks hit. Because even if Neek only got a couple looks, a couple wigs, Neek always looks good and put together. Danny, you be looking crazy. Like, you really think you look cute right now. She's standing up talking about this is what a celebrity do for a bee. You look a mess. Like, even her own friend Hennessy was laughing at her when she tried to show this outfit off. You look a mess. Then she gonna say, oh, Joseline keeps picking you because you're a professional dancer and the talent shines through, but you still have to get your professionalism together. You need to shut the fuck up. You're jealous and you're mad because she keeps getting picked and because she still dances well even when she's drunk. So Neek and Oceans got up and Neek was like, you know what? I'm not about to sit here and argue with you. I'm done. I got a photo shoot to go to that you wish you got picked for. So bye. And Neek told Danny, don't worry about it because I'm going to beat your ass tomorrow, but I got to go to work right now. So then we see Envy and Erica catching up, and they were just talking about how drunk Envy was last night, and then Andraya comes walking in. So I guess Erica got her wish. She said she came up with the whole cabaret wasted saying, and she said that she wanted to get everybody drunk, and she did just that. And she said that some of the girls like Neek came up with the whole cabaret wasted, like making it a chant, and that's kind of their thing now. And then it's so confusing how it's Queen Envy and Envy Erica, but I see they mostly just been calling her Erica. But Andraya had confused me for a second because she was like, I'm sitting down with Queen and Envy. But she was talking about Queen Envy and Envy Erica. Like, why do both of y'all got Envy in y'all name? So Envy and Erica asked Andraya about Neek, and they were like, we kind of feel like you've been judging our friend. And she says she likes Neek, but she feel like she be trying to tell Neek stuff for her best interest, and Neek don't really want to hear nothing she want to say. Like, Neek is always dismissing her. And she said, it seems like she's trying to play in my face. So at this point, it's coming down to a friendly fade. Envy was like, I don't really know what a friendly fade is. If you're going to fight somebody, that means y'all got beef. Ain't no being friends and we gonna fight and be friends again tomorrow. And they basically told her, well, we cool with it as long as you keep it on a one-on-one. So as long as you're not planning for Danny or Hennessy to jump in on Neek and help you, then we'll stay out of it as well. So in her confessional, Erica basically said, I don't feel like Andraya has a real reason that she wants to fight Neek. And they asked her, like, after the friendly fade, do you feel like y'all would be able to make amends? She gonna say, I don't really have a problem with Neek. It's just coming down to business and her trying to play in my face. I think Andraya is trying to step into this role that Joseline is telling her she wants for her. So she's trying to start acting like Joseline or like a boss or like an authority figure in the group. Same thing with Raven and how she was yelling at Neek last week. So I think now they think they about to start fighting these girls to like prove a point that they at the top. But y'all can't fight. So it's not going to work for y'all. Y'all not strong as Joseline is. Y'all don't get as crazy as Joseline get. Y'all not going to fight nobody the way Joseline fight them. So I don't think it's going to work out for y'all. Like, I don't think Andraya is going to fight Neek and win to the point that Neek is going to be like, oh, she whooped me into shape. She beat my ass and now I'm going to respect her and Raven. Like, please. Talking about Neek stepping on her toes. The only toe that Neek is stepping on is that you think she's taking your spot with Joseline. Remember when they was doing the rehearsals and Joseline told Neek, I'm following you, which means that she feel like Neek is the best dancer and that's who she look to if she needs to see where everybody is at on stage. She ain't thinking about Andraya. So Andraya says she's going to get ready. Envy and Erica tell her, okay, make sure you be nice to our friend. And if y'all do get into it, it needs to be a one-on-one. Andraya agrees. So next we see Joseline sitting down with Melissa, Janisha, and Aria, who is like the creative director of Playboy, Mexico. So Joseline was just saying how she really loves Janisha and respects Janisha. She said, we don't stand no other B, but we stand Janisha. I guess it's F. Scotty over there, which of course isn't surprising. But one thing I will say, it's hard to find people that really believe in you. And ever since Joseline left Stevie, she's clearly created a team around herself where they all really believe in her. Ballistic, Melissa, Ricardo, like they all believe in what Joseline is doing. So Janisha and Aria basically told Joseline that they were planning to show a different side of her today. It's going to be more soft and sensual than she usually does her photo shoots, so it should be a good time. So Joseline did a real good job as far as like what she said she was trying to do, which was to not really be the boss and let them take the creative direction. She looked really nice in her outfits. You guys can see two of them right here. This purple look was really cute. It was one of my favorites. Andraya and Neek were right there watching Joseline, cheering her on and just soaking everything in. And Neek was like, you know, all the girls say I need to work on my professionalism, so I'm here just taking some notes on that. You know, being funny, like, yeah, y'all talking about I'm not professional, but I'm the one that's here, not y'all. So while they were getting Joseline ready for this next look, she sat there and talked to Neek and Andraya for a little while. So Joseline asked Neek and Andraya, like, if y'all had the chance to choose, who would y'all give the $50K to? And Neek said Rose or Andraya. And Andraya was sitting there like, oh, like as if that touched her. And it's like, no, Neek is just a real one, because if you would have had the chance to say yours first, I bet you wouldn't have said Neek, even though you know she's one of the best dancers there. Because you just give hater. You don't give real one like Neek gives. And Andraya was like, whatever you want for me as far as long-term usage, I'm cool with that. Because she's a lapdog. She's going to go with whatever Joseline says. And Joseline said, you're 25 and you need to find a career and stick to it. You're a wife and a mother. And Joseline tells Neek and Andraya if it's two people she wants to dance in the cabaret, it's those two. So not Danny, not Raven, but Neek. Joseline, you did all of that the other episode, yelling at Rose and Neek in front of them girls, making them think that you don't really like Neek, but you really do. One thing that cracked me up about Neek, she always says Jocelyn, like Drake and Jocelyn. Okay, another one of my favorite looks that Joseline had in this shoot was this white bathing suit, but when she was in the water. And then she also went to like this shower with the white bathing suit. I didn't really like that one because the shower was kind of dirty at the bottom. But I'm sure they like airbrushed that out. But I didn't like it because we could see it. And Joseline even said that this was the softest and most sensual that she felt that she's ever looked. She said she always feel like she looks sexy, but a lot of time it's more like strong and bold. And y'all know sometimes she be giving those masculine looks. So it's like this was very feminine, very soft, very cute. And Joseline did definitely take the time to talk to Neek and Andraya, like in between the different looks, like when she was walking from one location to another, she would just be having a little small talk with them, not just acting like they weren't there, you know? So then Joseline did this pink look right here. And while she didn't have to show her coochie, she did get topless for Playboy Mexico, as y'all can see. And Ballistic, everybody was talking about they was worried about him. Joseline, Melissa. Ballistic looked happy. Like I said, I didn't think he was going to care, and it don't look like he cared. He happy for Joseline, and he thinks she look good, and he know that ain't nobody touching her but him. So he cool with it. Well, ain't no man touching her but him. So throughout the day, we did see Neek and Andraya talking a little bit, dancing a little bit while Joseline was filming. And while they were walking down the beach, Neek reveals to Andraya that she lost a baby. And Andraya says she had empathy for her because she's going through the same thing. And for me as a viewer, I was like, okay, this explains why Neek is drinking the way she's drinking. So she says she probably need counseling because she's not over it. This is something that is fresh, like it just happened before she came here. And she just said it's been really bad and triggering for her. Like anytime she sees a baby, she'll want to break down and cry. So Neek had an ectopic pregnancy, which is similar to what Remy Ma had, I believe, when she was on Love and Hip Hop New York. When she first got out of jail, before she had her baby that she has now, the 6-year-old, she had an ectopic pregnancy, and it was shown like on Love and Hip Hop. But it basically means that the pregnancy can't be carried to term because the fertilized egg is growing outside of the uterus. So, of course, I felt really bad for Neek. Y'all know I like Neek. She's like one of my favorites that's left on the show. So I hope she does get counseling and heal from this situation, and anybody else who's been affected by ectopic pregnancy or similar situations. So Andraya was comforting Neek in that moment and just, showing her empathy and like relating to her situation. And Andraya also revealed that she's a doula, and she got into that because of her past experiences with pregnancy. She didn't want other women to go through those type of complications and things alone. And she told Neek that she respects her vulnerability because it shows strength, and she thinks that Neek is very strong and she deserves to be here and she would never count her out. So for now, it comes off like Andraya is being nice to Neek and maybe they will move forward from here. But I just have a feeling that when Andraya gets back around Danny, who we could tell is still on BS with Neek from what we saw at the beginning of this episode, Andraya will go back right to her old ways because she's going to follow Danny because they follow each other. So we see Joseline, Janisha, Aria, Neek, Andraya, everybody looking through Joseline's pictures and saying how it's going to be hard for them to decide which one will be the cover. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly which picture they made the cover, but here are a few of the finished pictures. So basically they said that's a wrap. Joseline stood up, flashed everybody, and they said that's how you wrap it up. She flashed the whole crew, child. So then we see Joseline, Neek, and Andraya arriving back to the house. All of the other girls are sitting around the pool, and they're just doing their cabaret wasted chant as they come in. So all of the girls were telling Joseline, like, oh, we know you ate. And Erica was like, yeah, I can't wait to see that cover so I could play with myself to it. And Joseline going to say, oh, but you have me right here. Oh, I thought you didn't play with your girls like that, Joseline. I thought you kept it very professional. And Joseline just gave her normal speech. This is such a big deal for me. A girl from the ghetto, a girl from the hood, a girl from Puerto Rico, a girl from the slums, a girl who grew up with no clothes and no shoes. So then Joseline starts talking about how she feels like some of the girls still don't appreciate her the way she needs to be appreciated. And she's not here for the girl who wants to win the $50K and take it home. She's here for the girl who wants to grow with the cabaret. And she told Danny, like, you are one of the ones I come down on the hardest. And Danny was like, yeah, but I feel like it's just because you believe in me. And Joseline was like, yeah, if I'm coming at you and I'm constantly talking to you and critiquing you, that means I want you to get better. If I'm not saying nothing to you, that's probably a bad thing. It's a little crazy, but I kind of get it. Because like I said, there were certain girls who she just hasn't really been paying much attention to, like earlier in the season. And I was like, that's not good. Like Des and Jayla. I was like, she don't really talk to them that much. So I don't feel like they on her radar. And they ended up getting sent home. Even Queen Envy, I feel like she's only here because she does all of that candle and fire tricks. If it wasn't for that, I don't feel like she would be here either because Joseline was barely acknowledging her or saying anything to her until she pulled that trick out. So she told Danny, I definitely feel like you're one of the most deserving girls in the cabaret. Danny breaks down crying as usual. And Neek told Danny, like, as far as us getting into it earlier, I understand what you were saying. And you was trying to put me on game about being professional. But basically, I just didn't like the delivery, which is what Ocean said. Like, you had a good message, but the way you delivering it, it don't sound like you really concerned. It sounds like you just trying to pick a fight. So then Danny was like, but you said you was going to smack me, though. And Neek was like, yeah, I'll still smack you tomorrow. And here goes Raven talking about, oh, why not today? Why not tonight? Why don't you shut up? Because you don't want to get in the field at all. And Danny was like, oh, tomorrow's fine because she's probably going to be mad after I win the $50K. And Neek was like, yeah, well, I'm just not feeling good. And Danny was like, yeah, and she was drinking so much last night. She probably needs to like wear that off before she's ready to fight. So, just still throwing her digs and stuff. Then here goes Ocean talking about, oh, I just feel like there's certain people still here that don't necessarily deserve to be here or shouldn't have made it this far. Maybe even myself. I'm glad maybe even yourself, because the only reason you here is because Joseline sees that you are somebody who's willing to be extremely loyal to her and be another lapdog. You cannot dance at all. And whoever said you didn't have no sex appeal was right. I think it was Erica. You really don't. But she basically said, Hennessy, I don't feel like you should really be here either. I feel like you only here because you got a cute face and a big butt. but you not professional, you be missing rehearsals, and you really here to just get into a bunch of beef. And Oceans was like, every time Ricardo was here, you're nowhere to be found. And that is kind of favoritism because y'all know how hard Jocelyn be going on these girls about rehearsals and practices. So why is Hennessy missing so many rehearsals and that hasn't been brought up or talked about? Why isn't Jocelyn calling her out for that? I do remember earlier in the season when her and Neek fought and Neek went to rehearsal directly after the fight, Hennessy chose to skip out on the rehearsal. So it seems like that's been her thing since the beginning. So maybe she shouldn't be here. And Hennessy basically was like, I don't feel no type of way. That's your opinion. So Oceans feels like Hennessy gets favoritism and she's on her princess shit in the house. And Oceans was like, at the end of the day, you're not the one giving out the 50K. So like, I really don't care what you got to say at this point. And in her confessional, she was like, it's really no point in me going back and forth with Oceans. I already busted her eye. So I felt like by this point, she would learn to leave me alone. So Andraya says, everybody get a good night's rest because tomorrow somebody will be winning the 50K. They toast. And then Jocelyn says, I want to see all of y'all jump in the pool like some slut ass bitches. I want to see coochie and everything else. So everybody gets nude and jumps in the pool, and Jocelyn is just sitting there watching like this. Jocelyn Hernandez, the madam. So if you're interested in that kind of X-rated content, head over to Zeus and watch the end of this episode. Next week, we'll see a little conversation between Oceans and Erica, another conversation between Danny, Raven, and Andraya. And then we will see the ladies at the Last Supper where somebody will win the money. But before that, there's going to be an all-out Royal Rumble. There's going to be multiple altercations. But it looked like it's all going to start from, I believe, Rose popping on Raven, which is right here. So I'll see y'all next week for episode 17 of Joseline'S Cabaret, Texas. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube. Bye.